What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live at 8:30 in the morning. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but let's run with it. It's the 19th day of July 2024, and it is the same as always. Don't even know why I bother telling you this. The weekend of August 1st through 4th is Gencon, the 4 biggest days in gaming. Obviously, it doesn't mean as much as it used to be, but whatever. It's still kind of important to take a look at these things and judge the environment of the hobby as we go into the end of 2024, 2025, especially after everything that's happened over the past 2-3 years. Both here in the United States and worldwide. So Gen Con is kind of the barometer, you know. There'll be a lot of stuff that comes out of Gen Con that we'll actually be care about, and a lot of things where we'll be like, yeah, whatever. One thing, of course, is coming out of Gen Con, as it does, is the most anticipated games that we expect to see finally finished in some form at Gen Con. Now, this list has changed a lot since the beginning of the year. Noticeably, there's a couple of games that are missing for most anticipated. And there's some new ones that we didn't see coming. Obviously, my most anticipated game at Gen Con is Arduin, if the boys are going, which I think they are. And anything that comes out of Free League, because, you know, I just love their stuff. And it'd be nice to see some superhero stuff there. It would be nice that for just once, there'd be on the list the most anticipated anything even vaguely superhero related. There's nothing really superhero related on the Ennies this year. There's nothing really superhero related coming out that people are excited about. I don't know why. I never have known why. But yeah, it's fantasy, and some other things, which just sort of, you know, if I wanted to get philosophical, it's sort of a microscopic view into the mentality of the population based upon the events that is going on in the real world, that we want this type of escape as opposed to this kind of escape. It seems we want, it's reflecting the darker world is reflecting in the games we're interested in. So in no specific order, though, number one comes as no surprise. And most anticipated first games I didn't expect to see on the list. Let's start with those. Cthulhu by Gaslight, 2nd edition from Chaosium. I'm not sure how Call of Cthulhu and Cthulhu by Gaslight are different. I guess Call of Cthulhu is more European, and Cthulhu by Gaslight is more like Gotham, America. Pretty much the same game, right? It's Call of Cthulhu in the past. Specific period in the past, the period, but okay, whatever. That's on the list. Strangely, also on the list is the Arkham Horror role-playing game. This is a role-playing game that's based upon the board game that's based upon the Arkham Horror writings of Lovecraft. So, which is, you know, it's Call of Cthulhu, but it's not Call of Cthulhu, but it is Call of Cthulhu. I mean, Cthulhu is Cthulhu is Cthulhu. Arkham Horror is Arkham Horror is Arkham Horror. It's just different role-playing systems trying to emulate that Lovecraftian awesomeness. Star Trek 2D20 2nd edition. I did not expect that one to be on the list. Star Trek 2D20 2nd edition from Modiphius is one of the most anticipated role-playing games coming out at Gen Con. Didn't see that one coming. Shadow Scar from Artisolian. That is their new game that's not cyberpunk. It is a anime-inspired multiversal. So it's fusion, Mike. It's fusion. It's an anime-inspired multiversal adventure game inspired by Naruto, inspired by steampunk, inspired by fusion. This is by Mike Poundsmith's son. It's getting a lot of good praise, and it's on the list for most anticipated. Interesting. Obviously, Tales from the Valiant, even though it's already out, is very anticipated to see what they have planned. And of course, Dungeons and Dragons 2024. Noticeably missing from the list, DC 20. Considering how it kicked ass on Kickstarter, I'm surprised there's not more excitement coming out of Gen Con to see what Dungeon Coach has planned for DC 20. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some people who are like, it's my most anticipated game of 2024, but yeah, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I would think it should have been on the list. It's not. Another one not on the list, MCDM. What the fuck's going on with that? The last I heard, we were mad at him again for something he said like 2 months ago about how the combat works. I don't know. But no announcement whether he's going to be there, if he has anything to say. I'm looking at it. Just, yeah. I mean, maybe he'll be there. Maybe he'll have something ready. MCDM is just this big nebulous mystery that might come out sometime in 2025. The Diablo role-playing game that was announced at the beginning of the year that was one of the most anticipated games for 2024. No longer on the list. The Assassin's Creed role-playing game. No longer on the list. The Gloomhaven role-playing game. Nope. No, don't even know. Yep, most of these are games we're not even sure we're going to see represented at Gen Con. Diablo, based upon Diablo 4 storyline, not the Diablo 2 storyline. I have a feeling if they based it on the Diablo 2 storyline, it would be way more popular than what doing it based upon the Diablo 4. Assassin's Creed, I don't know. I think it's ready. As I said before about this Assassin's Creed, I'm not sure how a video game about one guy converts to a role-playing game where you're having multiple people, and unless it includes the rules of jumping off really, really, really tall places and surviving. The Final Fantasy thingy, which is out, was on the list. Now it isn't. Starfinder 2, not on the list. Should have been. Of course, the Smurfs, thanks. Yeah, Smurfs role-playing game. I mean, that's, I don't know if it was on the list. I don't know if a Smurfs role-playing game was coming out, but if it is, it should be on the most anticipated role-playing game list, but it's not. The Gloomhaven, not on the list. Was at the start of the year. Isn't now. I guess these are just games that people expect to be finished and on display in some form at 2024 Gen Con. There's probably a lot of weird indie games, Hey, are these guys going to have anything at Gen Con? Because if they are, they should be number one on the list. I'm not just brown-nosing them because we're friends, but I really respect everything that Steven and those guys over at Roll for Combat do. So hopefully they'll have some stuff there. Again, surprise DC-20 isn't getting more buzz. You'd think it would. That is the one everybody thinks is going to be the D&D killer. Starfinder 2. Yeah, Steven's right. Why isn't that on the list? It was at the start of the year, along with Pathfinder 2 Remastered Core. Weird indie games, I'm sure, but, these are the biggies. Now, as I said, number one should not come as any surprise, and no, it's not Shadowdark. It's this thing. The most anticipated game at Gen Con for 2024 is Stormlight Archives. Why is it the most anticipated game for 2024? Because it's by Brandon Sanderson. Who's Brandon Sanderson? He's a very prolific writer of science fiction and fantasy and holds the record for the most money made on a Kickstarter that people knew almost nothing about. He made over $10 million on his 4-book mystery Kickstarter, where people didn't really know a lot about what the books were, but it was Sanderson. So they jumped on that like, a grenade. And it made $1 million with in the first 2 minutes. It hit 9 million, then it hit 10 million by the time it closed. So yeah, he's huge. I'd only ever heard about him 2 years ago, but apparently I live in a bubble. Because this guy's huge into science fiction, and he just churns out books, and apparently they're all good. And not just thin 30, 40 pages. He churns out those thick, 500-page mega books, which are part one of a 37-part story, not counting spin-offs. So yeah, he's figured out the formula. 43 million? That's 3 million more than I thought it made, but okay, if he made 43 million, congratulations. Last I heard it was 10, but I'll have to double check, but I know it's more money than I'll ever see. Even 1 million, is amazing. So this is the most anticipated. I've heard very little about the system, mostly because I wasn't interested. Oh, yay, another fantasy D20 heartbreaker. I don't care. But it's not, it's not, is the system revolutionary or breakthrough? It's because it's Brandon Sanderson. And that's because, Steven says, I have read everything of his. He is fantastic. When have you had time? He's got like 10,000 books and they're all the size of a small dog. I've seen cars smaller than some of his books. No offense, man. I wish I was as prolific and creative as he was, but yeah. So again, it's a Critical Role scenario. The popularity and expectations of this are not based upon how revolutionary the system is. The popularity and expectations are based upon how the fans will react because it's Brandon Sanderson. And much like Critical Role products, who also aren't mentioned, but we know they're going to be there. I have a feeling people who made some of these lists kind of either forgot or were heavily influenced to only mention certain companies. But then why mention Cthulhu? Yeah, it's the fans. Much like Critical Role, it's the fans. The fans are going to be what carries this game. People, if you're a Brandon Sanderson fan, you're buying this game even if you have no idea what this game is, because it's Brandon Sanderson and it's about the Stormlight Archive series, which I guess are extremely popular and sell extremely well. So that's what they're counting on. That's why it's the most anticipated, not because it's revolutionary breakthrough that's going to kill D&D. It's because it's Brandon Sanderson. It's going to make a ton of money no matter what. Might make more than 2024 D&D. But where is it going to be a year from now? The T10 will break all records as his writing supports an entire system. I guess I need to check this game out. If it comes from the brain of Mr. Glicker, what are you doing up this early, sir? I respect the guy. He has his pulse way more on the system of the world than I do, because he still has contacts and I've lost all mine unless you count Kelsey. I don't know if she even counts as a contact anymore in the gaming world. Does TJ Storm count? I mean, TJ Storm knows Satine Phoenix, so I'm 6 degrees in separation from Satine, but I don't think she counts as a gaming luminary anymore. So yeah, all my contacts are pretty much gone unless you count Ed from and Stephen Glicker. So I'll just sit here in my little corner of the world and stuff with my little digital avatar. I tried to contact you, Stephen, about why I have a digital avatar as opposed to using my face, but you don't have an email link on the site. But yeah, anyway. Weirdly, Critical Role. Well, if you ever want to invite me and you're okay with my digital avatar, Steve, let me know. I don't know what a digital avatar is as opposed to what I have, but I have been researching it. But I don't think they'll have anything ready to show for Daggerheart that we haven't already seen by next week. So, and we know it's not going to be out next week. So these are just stuff that we are 90% sure will be ready to go and hit the tables running when the doors open on August 1st at Gencon. And based upon that, Stormlight Archive, because again, it's this Brandon Sanderson dude who, it's the fans. The Brandon Sanderson fans are going to buy this, even if they're not gamers, because it's a world, and it's going to contain information that maybe isn't in the books and other stuff. So it's worth it to buy it, even if you're not a gamer and just a Brandon Sanderson thing, because Brandon Sanderson is help writing this. So, there's going to be actual stuff about the world in there. And if you're a fan of the world, it's like sort of like a tourist's guide to the world of Stormlight Archive. And you'd be like, oh, I've read 15 of the 37 books. And now this gaming thing tells me how so-and-so and so-and-so are connected. I didn't know that. That's cool. Wow. That's totally worth it, even though I don't play the game. And then maybe now that I bought this and it's answered some of my questions, I'll check this game out. So yeah, that is what I estimate is going to happen. And it looks like the great brain that is Stephen Glicker agrees with me. What's your most anticipated tabletop role-playing game at 2024 Gen Con that's actually going to be out? Now, no, as again, it's the start of this. A lot of these we were expecting to see out, and they're not out yet. So that is change. It's not just, oh, it might be out sometime 2024. Maybe it's what are we actually going to see in print at Gen Con that I can walk in with my hard-earned money and give it to you, and you will give me a physical copy and maybe a t-shirt or something in return. So that is why they're the most anticipated ones, not just because, wow, it's really good. I don't know. And then there's other ones that are out there that probably, will be big mysteries. I'm sure there'll be some surprises. There'll be some like, I didn't know that was out. I didn't know they were going to be there. What is that? I just want to say again, it's deeply disappointing that there's so few superhero role-playing games on the list. None of my stuff's on the list. Nobody's going, hey, I anticipate our OGGM being at Gen Con. I mean, I won't be, but I would like it that people anticipated me being there. Till next time, anything else we got to talk about today? No, it's a pretty news-free day. So I'll be back later on with some other stuff. But for now, that's it. If you have anything that you are expecting to see at the Gen Con in August, let me know. And then if we get any more information about it, we will talk about it in the future. Remember, if I hit 2,000 subs by the end of August, I will take an entire month off from talking about Wizards of the Coast. So still have time to help me hit 2,000 subs. Thanks to Stephen Glicker from Roll for Combat for dropping by. This guy's awesome. If you haven't checked out Roll for Combat yet, please do. Here's the link. Just go to Roll for Combat on YouTube. And yeah, these guys make product. They talk all the time. Yeah, definitely, if I had my luminaries of YouTube gamers, Steve would be on the list. I'm not just saying that because, I think he's awesome. Till next time, here's some music.
Yo, check. Yeah, we're not the type to play games. You can state claims. Came to show the movement moving like a freight train. Breaking walls.